Welcome to the Spirit Rock Music YouTube channel. Bob Dylan had a Christian phase in his career for which he received a lot of criticism, and today I want to talk about one of the songs that he wrote in this period, Saving Grace. Saving Grace was released in 1980 on side 2 of the album Saved, which is considered the second album of Dylan's so-called Christian trilogy. Saved's predecessor was Slow Train Coming in 1979, and its successor was Shot of Love in 1981. So let's dive right into the lyrics of Saved. Quote, "If you find it in your heart, can I be forgiven? Guess I owe you some kind of apology." End of quote. So we can ask ourselves, who is talking to whom here? Does the narrator speak to another human being? Or does he maybe speak to the immortal divine spark within that wishes to be woken from a sleep spanning incarnations? Another quote from the lyrics, "I've escaped death so many times, I know I'm only living by the saving grace that's over me." Of course, like basically any Dylan song, this can be interpreted from different perspectives, and I want to offer one perspective that is quite specific and that you may or may not like to relate to. About escaping death. The narrator has escaped death so many times. This may relate to Dylan's own life, which turned out not too boring, considering his serious motorcycle accident in 1966, drug experiences, the early death of many fellow musicians, including Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Bob Marley, to name but a few, or his divorce. "I've escaped death so many times" may also relate to much longer periods, the cycle of incarnations. The divine spark within has been waiting patiently all this time until finally a human being hears his voice and reacts to it. So maybe the speaker apologizes for having taken so long to understand the calling from within. Another quote from the lyrics, "By this time, I'd thought I would be sleeping in a pine box for all eternity. My faith keeps me alive, but I'd still be weeping for the saving grace that's over me." About mystical death. The narrator has realized that it is not his own talents which will save him, only fate and grace can do that. Another quote from the lyrics, "Well, the death of life, then come the resurrection. Wherever I'm welcome is where I'll be. I put all my confidence in him. My sole protection is the saving grace that's over me." End of quote. So this is about a process of dying. Perhaps not death of the physical body, but rather a mystical death. So it could relate to the death of the ego. This way, room can be created within him for the resurrection of the new spirit soul. He entrusts himself fully to this process. About love and light and the question at which level of being we understand this. Quote from the lyrics, "Well, the devil's shining light, it can be most blinding, but to search for love, that ain't no more than vanity. As I look around this world, all that I'm finding is the saving grace that's over me." End of quote. So the seeker's soul is longing for the light, but it needs a clear sense of discernment, for there are many forces that imitate true light. We can relate to Leonard Cohen's song Different Sides that we may do a video about at some time. So attempts to break through by means of worldly love turn out fruitless. The highest energy the narrator can find in this world is the kind of grace that touches and nourishes the divine spark within. Then about peace as an authentic state of being. Quote from the lyrics, "The wicked know no peace and you just can't fake it." End of quote. The inner freedom that originates from the awakening divine spark within cannot be imitated. It is a state of being that can only be reached by a wholehearted commitment, without any element of speculation or hope for personal gain. And lastly, about different ways of reading the Bible. Quote from the lyrics: "There's only one road and it leads to Calvary. It gets discouraging at times, but I know I'll make it by the saving grace that's over me." End of quote. The Bible can be read in various ways. We can see it as a report about historical events. We can interpret it in terms of recommendations on how to live according to high ethical standards. Dylan's reference to Golgotha or Calvary as the goal of his personal endeavor matches a spiritual perspective, seeing biblical places as stages on a personal path, stages that we cannot visit by traveling there, but stages that we can realize by means of a maturing spirit soul. Seeing it this way, all the characters in the New Testament correspond to aspects within one seeker. John the Baptist, for example, symbolizes the personality that prepares the path for the divine spark. Jesus may be seen as the new soul that approaches John the Baptist and finally takes over control. And Christ may signify the spirit that unites with the new soul. Golgotha can be related to the skull. It does not suffice to receive new energies in one's heart. They have to take effect and finally rise to the head in order to receive the spirit. So now I'm keen to hear your views about Dylan's Christian albums in general and this song in particular. Let me know in the comments. All the best for your own quest. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. All the best. See you next time. Ciao.